Yes, hello. What I'm going to do today is show you how to do maintenance on a Toro fixed deck. This here happens to be the 30698 model. It's similar to the 30197 as well. The way you get the model numbers is right there's the plate. It's got your model and serial number, and you need those when you buy parts, and they're always about between the engine and the transmission on this side. All Toros and X-Marks have that plate. It is either steel or aluminum, and these numbers are etched. So if those numbers are not present with a Toro, I would be worried that it might be stolen. Now I took the cover off that goes here. That should go on there, and it's a bit trickier with the cover on. But basically what you will need, you'll need a grease gun, preferably loaded. And the way to keep track of hours is because these belt drive mowers don't have an hour meter. So the way I do it is I wait until it's low on gas. That's when I do the maintenance. So I'm going to put this on my tripod here. Show you a little trick here with this newfangled gas tank. Gas can, you drill a hole and put a screw in that hole, or bolt, and then that solves your solves the problem of that self-venting garbage. You know. Just a second here. It's ready. And I usually fill it up from over this side. I don't know if you saw that, but I fill it up pretty good. Okay. Excuse me. Normally these mowers run a good 8 hours on a full tank of gas, and that's a good way of keeping track of the hours. Now, we have here the grease gun. Let's see if I can aim this thing. You're looking for grease fittings, and there are 13 on this particular mower. Now the difference between a fixed and a floating deck, on a fixed deck the blade bolt goes through the spindle. On a floating deck there might be a zerk here. This is also a gear/belt drive mower. The farther apart you get from what I'm describing, the more physical differences you're going to note. Now the reason I took the deck off, there's a zerk right here. Man, I've been having problems with these grease guns. Okay, so as I was saying, I've been having problems with this grease gun, so I put a new coupler, this little piece on it. A lot cheaper than buying a new grease gun. Now I'm going to go over the position of the zerks. I'll pointed one of them out right there. This one takes about 1 squirt of grease, and I will go ahead and demonstrate that real quick. You basically give it grease. I do by number of squirts or by until it comes out of the sides. So I said about 1, and I don't know if you can see, but it just started to squirt out of there. It wasn't even a full squirt. Okay, so that's 1. Then there's 2, and another one over there. Then there's 1 on each of these wheels here. Okay, and that's where I have problems with the grease gun. I'm going to hit that one up again. These here take 1 or 2 squirts, and they either come out here or down here. You got to watch it. If it starts to come out, you want to stop. The wheels take about 6 to 8 pumps. They'll start to come out here. These take 8 pumps, and they'll start to come out here. This one takes about a half a squirt. Okay, and it'll squeeze out there. And I got these. Gosh, this camera. These axle shafts here. Okay. The best way to do it is put this into neutral. You should be able, if it's not in neutral, you won't be able to turn this. Fifth, fourth, third, second, first, neutral. Oh, the belt's on real tight. I just put new belts on it. Well, you can turn it also by cranking the engine. And without turning it on, just pulling the rope, you'll turn them. You see them now? 1 and the other one. You'll notice that if these axle shafts have to come out, when these couplers go back on, I made sure that they were equally located. Okay. Then the Belky, you may or may not have one. Has 1 zerk here. It takes about a squirt or 2. These take about a half a squirt. Same with that one. Most of it's duplicate from one side to the other. There's 1 down here on the hitch. Okay. And there's 1 in here on this wheel here. But I can't see it right now. Okay, I'm going to put this camera up while I try and locate this zerk. Oh, there it is. It's right there. Yep. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. See if I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 zerk grease points that these mowers have. I would suggest greasing them up every 8 hours or every time it needs gas. That's how I do it. I'm going to do this real quick. Oh my God. Come on. Interrupt this video for just a minute. Okay, back on. Sometimes a Zerk will go bad on you. That's a common problem. Do replace them. Don't let it go. More problems, but I'm gonna tell you why. If you let these Zerks go, you'll chew through bearings. These things here have brass bushings. You'll have to replace them eventually too, and if you let it go and it chews through the brass bushing, you're gonna end up replacing this part and maybe this. And these things, even used, are $20 to $50 or more. I've seen these go for as much as $100. Although you can get them for about $50 to $75. It'd be cheaper to grease it. Now I've got a problem with a Zerk. I've got to replace it over here. And it doesn't seem to want to take the grease. So I'm going to show you how that's done real quick. Normally replacing Zerks is not something you have to do every time, but if you do, I would strongly suggest keeping them. A lawnmower like this will last you 20 years. The trick is getting it there. And if you let your maintenance get out of hand, you know, as the saying goes, take care of your tools and your tools will take care of you. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find my Zerks here. Where the heck are they? You clips. Oh, there they are. And more than likely, I'll choose one that's got an angle to it like this. Although there are some that got less of an angle. This one would be even better. And that one there looks to be perfect. Fortunately, you got to usually pull out several before you find the one that fits, because that's how these things are. They just, man. Normally a maintenance spell shouldn't take more than 20 minutes, but it's not unusual for it to take 30-45 minutes. A tank full of gas, like I said, lasts me all day, which, since I'm by myself, I might cut 5, 6, 7, 8 yards in a day. They're not terribly big. I don't work like crazy anymore. And so I can usually get 2 to 3 days out of it. There we go. Hopefully you can see. I pull this aside. Probably almost be easier if I took the wheel off, and I may do that. Yeah. It's also easier if you have air tools, I will say that. Yeah, there we go. That's basically come right off usually. I'm not really sure if it's the Zerk or just the location of it. Why it wouldn't take grease. Fortunately, the new one's screwed right in. Sometimes they don't. So you gotta grab about 3 or 4 till you find the one that'll fit. And obviously there's the positioning issue. I'm hoping I'll get a good angle on this thing. Just starting to look real iffy. Yeah, that's just about perfect. I'll try and get it just a little bit more. Oh, that's it. I don't want to give it any more because I end up stripping that crazy thing. Always so much fun. Yes, sir. But I got it. And that's how you replace a Zerk. Now where's my grease gun? That's what the problem was. I gave it 7 squirts. That's all the Zerks. So I'm going to put up the grease gun now. And now, last but not least, whenever I do maintenance, I put sharp blades on the mower. You can either pull the old ones off and sharpen them, or in my case I already got some sharp ones laying around. I use a jack stand. As you can see, I'm going to lift this mower. It is a little heavy. Slide this thing up underneath the front. I'll catch it on this lip. You hold it with your knee, slide it under and let it down slow. Right there. Now you don't want to crawl under it, okay? And basically, the blade bolt goes through. And this here's your blade bolt. This is the bolt, this is the nut. It helps greatly if you have air. If you don't, you'll need to wrench and ratchet this, one on top, one on the bottom. They're 15/16. I usually hold the blade. It's a whole lot easier to do this with the cover off. If you don't have the cover off, you can still do it, but a lot of times a washer will slip out from underneath, and once it does, you gotta pull the cover off. But if you got the cover on, you got these holes here that allow you to get through with an air tube, or possibly a ratchet wrench with a socket. But when you pull it off, you gotta reach through the hole and grab these two pieces. I got the fresh blades. These are sharpened and got them lightly coated with oil so they don't rust while the mower sits waiting for the next day's mow. Just pull the bolt out of the old one. Any garbage that's on there, pull it off. Yeah, that's pretty visible, let's say. Okay. There's a little washer here. You might have more than one. Make sure all the parts go back in the same order. Put the washer on. Oh shoot. I just lost the washer. I have more. Oh no, here it is. Man. That's a typical day for me. It just seems to go like that. And then when you pull the bolt back through, put these on and give it several turns to make sure you're not cross-threading it. 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, so the bolt's like right there. Shut up. It's a little bit on the tight side. These things will tend to get dirty on the threads. I'll show you what to do about that. I'm not... Oh, this one too. What the hell? Maybe I just got the nut on upside down. Yeah, that's all it was. Huh. I'll be darned. Maybe that's what the problem is here. Because it's awful tight. Put the nut on right side up seems to make a difference. Well, not really. But I'm going to tack it on now. Now when you go to grab the blade, be careful. Because if it's out of your... I mean, these are sharp. So hold them pretty decent. I'll tell you, these blades don't look too dull, but the edge is off here. Yeah, it's got a little dullness there. It could go another day or two. But I've learned, you know, there comes a point when it's just not sharp enough, and when that happens, it's a real pain to get these things to do anything for you. Then it just clumps and doesn't want to cut right, and major headache, major. Keep the blade sharp, easy solution. Now, pull that thing out, then the cover goes back on, and now I don't know where the plastic nuts are that go on here. I seem to have misplaced them, but that's what goes on, you know. So that's basically it. Now would be a good time too to check the oil, you know. Well, the mower is just sitting at an angle, so it's going to take a few minutes for that to settle. Wouldn't be a bad idea to check the air filter. In my case, I've got a pre-cleaner on here. Pull this off. And that's, you could replace it, but it's really not too bad. Usually when it needs replacing, it's all caked full of dirt. That's good enough for another time or two. I will actually replace it, just so I can say I did. So now again, it's not too bad. I don't think it is. Some might disagree. But I keep these pre-cleaners. You can throw them in, well, I won't say you can throw them in the wash machine, but I will say that that's what I do with them. Because they're several dollars each, so I'll throw them in the wash and reuse them. Keep all of it. Should be one right around here somewhere. There it is. Got it color coded. The dark one is Kawasaki. No, I'm just kidding, but that's how they are. The green ones are for my Colors. Just how it is. You know, brake cleaner, which is just a piece of foam opener. That helps your air filter itself last a little longer. There's the pre-cleaner's been replaced. So, check the oil, which I didn't do properly, but in my case I know the oil is good. It just is. If you're not sure, make sure you know how to check it. You might want to read the owner's manual. You need to check that about once a day. If your mower leaks oil, more often. If you don't have a Velke, you'll be minus 3 Zerk points. If you have a Velke, you will have 14 greasable Zerk points on a Toro 30197 or a 30698 gear drive fixed duck. Okay, like I said, if you've got a float deck, chances are you'll have grease points here or up against the bearing. These here are sealed bearings, you know, so grease it up and put gas in it, obviously, and then put some sharp blades on it, and you're good to go for another day. This mower is ready to rock and roll now. I'm not going to start it, but it will start, just to show you. That's basically it. This mower here's seen a lot of maintenance, and like I said, they'll last you a long time if you take care of them. If you do not, you know, some of the things that break on here are these little rubber grommets. You'll want to replace them when they start to wear out, or it'll chew up your bar. This piece here is $80 freaking. So you don't want to replace this. You want to replace this dollar grommet, however many times it needs to be replaced. Okay, there's a couple of C-clips that hook onto the outside, right on this axle, right up against the, there's this bearing here that goes through the frame. That little C-clip is on the inside. It sits inside a groove. When that goes, and it will, Sometimes it just comes loose, sometimes it breaks off. This pulley will ride out towards this. The mower will feel funny to operate. If you don't fix that, it will chew a hole through this, and you'll end up replacing that as well, because it chews up metal to metal. And you have to replace this pulley because it'll take the belt with it. Let me tell you, these pulleys are like between $50 and $80. The belt's like $45, $35, $40, and this thing here's another $20, $30 if you can find one used. If you cannot, oh boy, you can leave it here with a hole, but you know. So keep an eye out on these little. There's another one right now. Maybe you can see it if I yeah, there it is. See that little C clip thingamajigger there? Yeah, you need a special little clip thing tool, and they're heavy duty clips. They're not the regular ones. They are 5/8 in size. You know, when those break, you'll need to replace them on a regular basis. You'll need to replace these brass bushings. There's a couple of them in here as well. Okay, and then there's one each here. This one's slid up and I can't seem to get it to go back down, but it is what it is. There's another one down here, another one right here. Yeah, that's not it, that's just the washer. It's right there, and another one right in there. Okay, that's why we grease them, because there's no bearings in here. This just goes through a brass bushing with no grease. It'll chew right through it in no time. I mean, days, weeks, I don't know, but it won't last you a year. Or don't run these mowers dry on grease, man. Don't do it. I have had to replace those brass bushings, but I've never had to replace that. You know, a lot of things I've never had to fool with because I take care of it. So that's my recommendation, and that's a bare basic minimum on the maintenance. That'll also give you a chance to take a good look over your whole machine. You should probably wouldn't hurt to check the tire pressure. I like mine nice and firm. I'll fill them up to max PSI sidewall. But there are a lot of things I don't check everything every time, man. I just don't. That's all, folks. Bye.